Lisa.
Hello, Andrew.
I've got something to show you.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not sure I want to see this.
Here we go. Ready?
Okay.
What was that?
Sea devils?
That was the Sea Devils.
Yay.
Yay! Because the Sea Devils. Doctor Who and the Sea Devils.
And the sea devils, yes.
Right. What do you want to say about the Sea Devils? 6 episodes of Navy Larks.
Navy Larks, yes. Stuart fell in Katie Manning's outfit.
Well, he fits.
Just about.
And he's the tiny Sea Devil that
He's
does the
tiny
flip
sea
as
devil,
well.
does the flip, yes. Yes.
But I really like the Sea Devils.
And sandwiches.
Oh yes, and the quality of my footwork.
Yes.
You want to see the quality of my footwork? Yeah, there you go.
He's not saying it's Joe, he's saying it's
Master. Yeah.
Yes.
IKEA! IKEA!
Okay.
Have you ever been to IKEA?
No.
Oh, right. But we're talking about 3 stories today because we thought we might as well get season 9 done and dusted.
Yes. And the Time
Monster is running now.
Time Monster is
episode
finishing
6
episode 6.
is there.
Well, it's not finishing episode 6.
And you can see a load of men with tridents in their hands.
Yes. Yes.
But Sea Devils, I really appreciate all the filming work on it. Yeah. Especially as it's quite local to us.
It is, it's Portsmouth, isn't it?
Because it's Portsmouth and it's the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
I mean, we live in Poole and I can't say I've spent much time in Portsmouth. I've only gone through
through Portsmouth to get to the Isle of Wight.
To get to the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
But I do love the seaside.
Yes.
And it's nice to have the seaside quite close to us.
Yes.
Because we live not a million miles away from, Sandbanks, Poole Quay, all of that.
In Bournemouth.
Yeah. But the Sea Devils really does use its locations well,
it does.
I think.
It does. It's superbly done. Yes.
And the fact that you've got all the help from the Navy really does help, I think.
Does.
Sort of
it really does.
push it up to a sort of new level, I think. Because you've got things like the hovercraft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the thing that Joe knows how to not fly, but to operate a hovercraft.
Yes.
And it's never referred to before, and it's never referred to again. But she's just shown to be quietly competent, isn't it?
Yes.
She just gets in it and
goes
and gets on with it. You've got the Master looking at the clangers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A trick they will repeat in The Last of the Time Lords.
Yes.
With the Master looking at the Teletubbies.
That's true. You've got the Sea Fort, which if you go to the Isle of Wight from Portsmouth, you actually go past.
Yes. And now the Sea Fort is a hotel.
Yes.
So you can go and stay there and have lunch and an evening meal and pretend to be a Sea Devil.
But Michael Bryant is really pushing the...
Yes. Michael E. Bryant.
No, he's still only Michael Bryant at this point. I did check, actually.
Okay, because there's this fan law thing that when he's Michael Bryant, he's not always very good. When he's Michael E. Bryant,
no, at this point he hasn't added the E.
Okay.
I think it might be the next story. I'm not sure. Because there's Michael Bryant, the director, and Michael Bryant, the actor. And you have to get them the right way round.
No, the actor's name is spelled differently too.
With a Y. Yes. But he used to say they used to get each other's fan mail.
Oh, okay. So that's why he added the E.
Yeah, because he used to find it very exciting to get letters addressed to Michael Bryant, the actor, and Michael Bryant, the actor, used to find it very boring to get letters addressed to Michael Bryant, the director. And of course, Michael Bryant then later goes on to sort of work on Blake 7 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was, I think, at one point quite interested in becoming the producer for Doctor Who, because there was a convention, must have been about 1986, based. We've said about the book Doctor Who, the early years.
Yes.
And he was one of the guests there, and he I think he sort of did a sort of interview panel with Jeremy Bentham, and he was quite sort of interested in taking over. I don't know, whether he sort of can remember any ideas he had, but would have been interesting.
Yes. Indeed.
to see him.
Is that before JNT?
This
or?
is 1986.
Oh, right, so sort of
this is like
when JNT was desperately trying to get
whereas
away
JNT's going, I really don't want to work on Doctor Who anymore.
Yes.
But nobody sort of in the drama department was making much effort
No.
to find anybody. But sort of Michael Bryant was jumping up and down and saying, I'd do it, I'd do it.
Me.
I'd be quite happy.
That would have been an interesting thing. So
Yeah.
would that have been before Collins last season?
Well, I think the convention was just before Trial of a Time Lord, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'd need to go and look in my DWBs and
Anyway,
stuff to check
we're
the dates.
digressing.
Anyway, but yes, it's nice to get it's not the Silurians, is
Sea
it?
Devils.
But it's the Sea
The
Devils.
Seaside Devils, as I once heard
The
of them
Seaside
first.
Devils.
Yes.
But it was, I think, one of the working titles is the Sea Silurians, which is an
Silurians.
awful title.
Yes. And it's not even correct because they're not Silurians.
But I love the design of their faces.
Yeah, they look like
well, they're sort of turtles.
they're sort of turtles, but they're a bit like, isn't it based on John Freelander's dog?
Is
or
it?
somebody's dog.
Well, Pertwee used to say they were like a King Charles Spaniel,
Yeah.
weren't they, or something.
They've got big eyes and,
something like
and
that.
they're quite big. One thing I will say about them is, why do they have to stop to fire their guns? I was noticing this last night.
What, when they come around the corner?
And they stop and fire the gun and then they run again. Can't they run and fire?
What was it? Warren said Bakewell tarts.
Yeah, they do
got,
like Bakewell
they've got
tarts.
as guns. That's quite fun. But yeah, I'm very fond of the Sea Devils and Malcolm Clark's music. We should say.
Yes, it's unusual.
Dear old Malcolm Clark.
Yes.
Some people, I think, watching on headphones got a bit of a headache.
Yes. Yes.
But we didn't meet.
We did meet Michael.
Malcolm Clark. Once.
And if you see pictures of Malcolm Clark in the 70s, he's got long hair and a big
moustache. He's real sort of
and
hippie.
He's really
thing,
hippie. And then we met him in the 90s and he looked like a geography teacher.
Because he had these best bow tie
Best
on.
bow tie and his hair was all short.
Hair was all
and
short.
neat.
And
Yeah.
he'd like. I get
It
the
was, it was a wee bit of a shock, to
I
be
get
honest.
the feeling he might have had his hair cut.
Especially for the convention.
Especially for the convention, I don't know. But
70s probably. Malcolm, get your hair cut.
we only got to say hello.
Yes.
And I
think we did get a signature as well.
I have got a signature somewhere.
Alongside
from him.
Delia Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Who you confused.
But yeah, Malcolm Clark and Delia Derbyshire, we only got to meet for a split second, really. And
not long enough.
I really wish we could have spent some time, especially with Malcolm. I think because I think he would have had some sort of tales to tell.
Yeah, but his music is interesting. It's not for everybody. I think the funniest thing I ever saw is, the cat's got in the synth room again.
You see, I'm very fond of it because the first tape of Doctor Who music, which was called Doctor Who the Music, had a lot of stuff from the Sea Devils on it. Wow. So this was about 1985, I think I got a hold of it, and I just sat and played it because it was after the cancellation, and I was desperate for anything Doctor Who. So Doctor Who the Music became one of my most played things ever, and I would just play it back. And I know that music backwards. I'm not at all musical, but I really have got that music in my head.
You must know it to be able to play it.
To be able to play a bit of it,
yeah.
Yes, it's not terribly good, my impression, but I know all the notes. So, given enough time, I could probably do it. Anyway, let's...
And it has got a good cast to Sea Devils,
Yes.
because you get Edwin Richfield.
Yeah.
And
you got Donald Sumter.
Playing a really small part.
With his twitch.
And Clive, no, not Clive, I'm not talking about, David Griffin.
Clive Morton.
And Clive Morton, yes. But David Griffin, who will go on to be in Heidi High and Keeping Up Appearances.
Right. Anyway, well, we'll get a move on because I want to finish before the Three Doctors starts.
Okay.
Yeah. Next up, Doctor Who and
The Mutants.
The Mittens. Now, why did we call it The Mittens?
We called it The Mittens
because...
hang on.
Okay. And there's the DVD as well.
Because there was apparently a story, a fan... At
Panopticon
or some other convention.
Again, it's from 500 Eyes magazine.
Yeah. They had a video room. Now, in days gone by, when Doctor Who was not available at all to buy or watch again, a video room at a convention was very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I saw the Sea Devils a lot in the video room at the Leisure Hive convention. I said that I saw the Mind Robber, but I also saw the Sea Devils a lot.
Because that's the only place
you
got
to
see it.
Yeah.
So I think this fan asked another fan what was showing in the video.
Yeah.
And the other fan said The Mutants. And he said, the Mittens?
The Mittens?
No, the Mutants.
The Mittens?
Mutants.
The Mittens?
Yeah.
And this just went round and round.
And in the end they just went, yeah, the Mittens, yeah.
But I love the idea of Doctor Who in the Mittens.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Who's got some fingerless gloves.
They're not Mittens fingerless gloves. No.
Eh?
No.
What?
Mittens don't have fingers. Mittens have a thing that goes over your hand.
Oh, is that like idiot mittens?
Like idiot mittens on strings.
So you don't lose them.
So you don't lose
Hasn't
them.
Sarah got idiot mittens?
Yeah, in Five Doctors.
In Five Doctors.
Yeah. Well, they're sort of gloves, but yeah.
Yeah, gloves.
Gloves.
That's a Terry Pratchett reference,
Yes.
isn't it?
It's in
Small
Hogfather,
child,
look it up.
why have you got strings on your hands?
Yeah.
Gloves. Gloves. Yes, you need to read.
You should read Terry
hello.
Pratchett. Kronos is showing
I just
up.
realised that Kronos is flapping in the
Yes.
reflection in the thing.
Oh
well, never
dear,
mind.
this is not going to go well for Atlantis,
No.
is it?
Anyway, but the Mutants.
Yes.
Christopher Barry directing.
Yeah.
In sort of again, it's sort of where is it? Chislehurst
Chislehurst
Caves. I've
Caves,
never been there.
That's in Kent.
Is it? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But isn't there the story that they put a load of like weird markings on the walls of the caves, and then those markings are still, or at least were still there years later, and that like in the same way that like when you go through Wookey Hole, they say about this is where the TARDIS landed, which is nonsense because the TARDIS didn't land in Wookey Hole.
No. This is where Liz Lane nearly drowned.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
But
when
in
we get to
Chislehurst
the
Caves,
Doctor
they'd sort of point out the markings on the wall. I think.
Cool.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, the Mutants. It's a nice science fiction idea. The whole idea of the planet having like the 500-year cycle. Because I think there's is it Brian Aldiss writes something similar in a series of books. Heliconia series. I think it's 3 books, and I did read them years and years ago. I think it's Heliconia Spring, Heliconia Summer, and I think it's Heliconia Winter. I'm not sure. But again, that planet had like a really long sort of cycle of stuff. So yeah, I like the idea. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't quite come off. There are some things that don't quite work for me in the Mutants.
But as somebody said, the actual mutant creatures themselves
the costumes are really, really good.
Is that James Aitchison again?
That's James Aitchison, and he said he was up all night.
Yeah,
Like he wouldn't go home
Yeah.
because he was determined to get them right, and he'd like work all through the night on them, and like
This is why the man won an Oscar.
yeah, I mean he's a brilliant costume designer, and yeah, I mean he later on designs the Time Lord costumes and stuff like that.
And Leela's
And Leela's, is that one of his? Yeah.
things.
Leela's things.
Leela's lady things.
Lady things.
From Talons of Wen Chiang. You'll see what we mean when you get to Talons of Wen Chiang.
But again, it's another story where you've not got Dudley doing the music.
No.
You've got Tristram Carey sort of fiddling with his synthesizer, and it's all sort of. I can't do it on the synthesizer.
And also, the start of episode 1 does look like Monty Python. It does look like the It's Man.
I think it's almost intentional. It's got to be, hasn't it? Where a hairy man runs up to the camera, and I think that's the joke because Python's been running a couple of years by now, and again, nobody ever asked Christopher Barry whether he meant that as a joke or not, and I think it's got to be
Possibly.
Yeah.
And we have to say about Rick Jones,
Okay.
the much maligned Rick Jones. No, he's not brilliant,
Yeah.
but I defy anybody to say that line.
He's
any
unfortunately
conviction.
he's lumbered with a part which was not written for him.
No.
Because weren't Stubbs and Cotton meant to be some sort of Cockney double act?
Yeah,
or
something like that. Yes.
And I mean, where was Rick from? Was he Jamaican?
I'm not
or
sure
somewhere?
where he was from.
I don't know.
Yes.
But in the same way that I would have extreme difficulty getting my, it's all to do with the rhythm of the speech.
Yeah. And I mean that.
I'm from Dorset, and
Yes.
I would not be able to speak in lines that were written for a character who was Cockney.
No.
It's quite interesting.
It's the rhythm of the way you talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
That
And it's that line, oh no, Lymphysium will all be done for. That's a bloody awful line.
yeah. No,
You know.
yeah.
Nobody can say that
can
with
salvage
any
that. I don't
conviction.
think. So, good on him for having a go.
And give the man a break.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting sci-fi day, because there's the story that Barry Letts tried to sell something similar as a storyline to Jerry Davis, and Jerry Davis said it was too sophisticated and not for Doctor Who.
Oh, gosh.
Whereas then, when Barry Letts becomes producer, he's quite willing to let that idea through. So, again, good for everyone for having a go.
Oh, we should say as well, it is Christopher Cole in that, isn't it?
Christopher Cole?
He's Stubbs, isn't he?
I honestly can't remember.
Because if it is him, he's in Seeds of Death.
Is it him?
I'm not sure now.
I'm a bit sort of blind to him, I'm afraid. Sorry. Yeah. But anyway, shall we move on to...
We'll move on to...
Well, let's finish off season 9 with what's running now. The Time Monster. And I've got a weird sort of... I've got 2 Time Monster sort of links. The middle episodes, I can never quite remember what goes on. But episode 1 I know really well. And episode 6 I know really well.
Well, didn't you have the script?
Well, this is the thing. Our friend Nick had the script for episode 1, and we did a comedy read-through of it. And just trying to get as much sort of innuendo out of the script as possible. And frankly, there's quite a lot of innuendo in the script.
It's not difficult when the thing's called Tom Tit.
Yeah, because it was a demonstration of Tom's tits, basically. But people have picked up on this in the chat room today, that there is an awful lot of innuendo in this story, like the time sensor that Joe's got. It's got 2 round things and a pointy thing, and Ingrid Pitt's costume
is slightly revealing.
Is slightly revealing.
And Ingrid Pitt's cat.
Oh, Ingrid Pitt's pussy. Yeah, we should say about that.
In case you're worrying about Ingrid Pitt's cat after the events, don't worry, it lives in the TARDIS.
Yeah, the cat in our head steals its way into the TARDIS.
And the TARDIS feeds it.
And
gives it water.
Lives with the Doctor.
And plays with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Because the TARDIS likes cats.
But it is a bonkers script. It really is mad as a brush, isn't it? I should say why I knew episode 6, because when I started getting pirate videos of stuff, one of my first stories to get was the Seeds of Doom, and the chap that supplied me with the Seeds of Doom, I sent off an E180 tape, which was 3 hours, and the way those tapes worked was that you could get 7 episodes onto it. So I wanted Seeds of Doom, but you then had 1 episode left.
Right.
So I thought we'll get Time Monster Part 6, because he had quite a decent copy of the Time Monster Part 6. He had a list of what the quality of them was and what. And I didn't know Time Monster at all, but it sounded an interesting...
How did you find these people?
The Pen Pal section in Doctor Who magazine.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Really? And how did they advertise them? Because obviously you can't blatantly say I've got Doctor Who.
No, but we sort of wrote a few letters to each other, and should I get me chocolate bar out as well? I've got today, we went shopping, and I've got a Bounty bar. But in America, the equivalent of a Bounty bar is a Mounds bar. And Ingrid Pitt does return to Doctor Who much later. And John Pertwee got to hear about this, and he knew Ingrid quite well.
Yes.
And he was in America at the time.
Yes.
And he sent her a Mounds bar. And she was presented with a bar of Mounds on set, much to everybody's amusement.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm sure she was quite.
She found it really funny. Yeah,
because she had a great sense of humour in Ingrid Pitt.
I always regret we never got to meet her, because I think she would have been really fun to talk
quite
to.
down to earth.
Because she did do a convention in. She did do a panopticon in the early 90s, and there was this thing you could have a celebrity sort of meal thing. Yeah. So you'd order your dinner. And there'd be a table of like sort of 8 fans and a guest star or 2.
Did they move tables? Because they moved tables.
Sometimes, yeah.
You get a different celebrity for each course.
And there was a rather sort of snippy write-up of it, and it said, you two could have lunch with Ingrid Pitt with tomato ketchup all over her chin. And I love that, the idea that she's like, doesn't care.
No. Oh, I got tomato. I can't do the accent.
Yeah, don't do the accent.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she was like really
it's Baby Benton!
Oh, it's Baby Benton.
He doesn't want it.
No, Baby Benton doesn't want his goo. But yeah, I mean, the Time Monster is mad as a brush in terms of storyline.
Yeah.
Which I cannot knock, because, again, the sheer imagination is
amazing.
is wonderful,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that people see. Just looking through the chat room, people seem to have sort of really quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's
Again, it's not quite my thing.
No.
But the fact that so many people seem to enjoy it is lovely. I never say that my opinion's right.
No.
You know, if we have sort of three fans in a room, inevitably they're all going to disagree about what's good, bad, or indifferent.
We never all like the same stories.
No.
We have quite similar views.
Yeah.
So that helps. There aren't any arguments about stories, but.
But the Time Monster is just. Yeah, it's just full of ideas, and
you can't knock it for that.
Yeah, and that's what Doctor Who should be, I think.
And it's really 70s.
Yeah. Oh lordy.
I mean, Ian Collier is.
There's the line about marmalade
70s.
sandwiches.
Yes.
Yeah, and Pertwee's what is it, his wine bottle.
His wine bottles.
Spoon,
jar,
fork, cork thing. What on earth that is supposed to be?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Oh, we're coming to the end of episode 6.
Oh, yes. You should look at the chat room.
Oh, yeah. We'll let the chat room react to the final scene.
Yes.
We won't spoil it.
No.
Anyway, let's upload this in the morning again. And,
yes.
and just in time for the 3 Doctors.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.